55.3 million. To put that into perspective, that is roughly the entire population of South Korea. That is the staggering number of Suno AI users whose personal information got caught up in this breach. And here's the crazy part. This massive number wasn't actually volunteered by Suno. It was brought to light and confirmed by the data breach notification service, Have I Been Pwned? So we aren't just talking about a tiny, contained leak here. We're talking about a massive chunk of the internet having their data exposed in one single event.
So let's ground this in reality for a second. The hackers didn't just grab a random list of usernames. They walked away with a highly sensitive data set. We're talking the whole shebang. Names, email addresses, physical home addresses, phone numbers, and detailed purchase histories. They even got hold of partial payment data scraped right from Suno's Stripe account, specifically card types, expiry dates, and the last 4 digits of credit cards. Now, to be fair, Suno maintains that they don't have access to full credit card numbers, so those complete numbers appear to be safe. But still, the sheer volume of personal identity markers stolen here is absolutely crucial when we think about identity theft risks. Okay, here's our agenda for today's explainer. First, we'll look at the 55 million user breach. Second, the source code leak. Third, uncovering the scraping machine. Fourth, fair use or copyright theft. Fifth, Suno's silent response. And finally, number 6, what this means for you.
Starting right off with Section 1, the 55 million user breach and a timeline of exposure.
Right, so look at this timeline. You're probably going to notice a glaring gap here. The actual cyber attack took place way back in November 2025, but users, they had no idea. It wasn't until much later that the independent news outlet 404 Media finally broke the story to the public, and it was only very recently that Have I Been Pwned actually got their hands on the breached dataset, which allowed them to confirm that massive 55.3 million figure we just talked about. So, the really important takeaway here is that millions of users were left totally in the dark about their compromised personal and financial data for a significant amount of time.
Moving into Section 2, the source code leak, basically looking beneath the surface.
Now we're kind of pivoting from standard consumer data theft to something that looks a whole lot like corporate espionage. We're looking at the bottom of the iceberg now. We know they took user data, sure, but what else did the hackers find? Think about it. If you've breached one of the world's leading AI music generators, what's the actual holy grail you're looking for?
Well, a hacker going by the handle le.191 didn't stop at user profiles. They managed to successfully steal Suno's internal source code. This is literally the DNA of Suno's AI technology. It's the proprietary engine making the whole platform run. But more importantly, taking this source code opened up a massive Pandora's box. It provided hard, irrefutable evidence of exactly how this AI model was trained behind closed doors.
Which brings us nicely to Section 3, uncovering the scraping machine and how Suno was actually built. The leaked source code revealed the sheer staggering appetite of Suno's scraping machine. We are talking unauthorized mass data collection from major platforms. Look at this, over 2 million audio clips pulled directly from YouTube Music, more than 17,000 hours of lyrics and textual data ripped from Genius, over 12,000 hours of music from Deezer, and it doesn't stop there. The leaked data shows they aggressively scraped stock music libraries too, like Pwned 5, Jamendo, Freesound, the International Music Score Library Project, and even podcasts via RSS feeds. It was basically a giant digital vacuum cleaner for global audio.
So, how did they pull all this off? Well, the hackers shared internal Suno documents from 2023 and 2024, proving the company employed third-party scraping services, specifically naming a tool called Bright Data. They used these services to systematically extract vocal-only audio directly out of YouTube. This wasn't just some accidental data collection. This was a highly targeted, technologically sophisticated operation designed to feed their AI model tens of millions of recordings.
All right, Section 4, fair use or copyright theft, the legal battle.
To really understand the ongoing lawsuit here, we first need to define a term, stream ripping. Basically, this is the act of bypassing a platform's security measures, like the digital protections YouTube puts on its videos, to illegally collect and download the underlying audio files. The Recording Industry Association of America, or RIAA, amended their ongoing lawsuit against Suno to specifically accuse them of doing exactly this. And honestly, the leaked source code from LE191 seems to heavily support that accusation.
So we have two deeply entrenched sides. And just to be clear, we are absolutely not taking sides here, but it's super important to understand both arguments. On the left, you've got Suno's defense, which is built entirely on the concept of fair use. They admit to training their models on, quote, essentially all music files of reasonable quality that are accessible on the open internet, but they argue that machine learning strictly falls under fair use protections. On the right, the record industry. Giants like the RIA, Sony Music, and UMG vehemently disagree. They accuse Suno of blatant copyright violation, unauthorized stream ripping, and using artists' life's work without permission or compensation to generate what they kind of derisively call AI slop. It really is a foundational battle for the future of digital copyright.
Okay, Section 5, Suno's silent response and the aftermath of all this.
After the media reports dropped, Suno spokesperson Rachel Rakusin acknowledged that a, quote, limited security incident took place back in November 2025. Suno basically claimed that the event primarily involved old, unused source code. But notice what is completely missing from the statement. There's absolutely no immediate mention of the 55.3 million users whose personal data was just compromised.
And that actually leads us to the most controversial part of the whole aftermath. Suno did not notify the affected individuals directly. They didn't even put a public disclosure on their website to warn their community. Their argument? They claimed that under existing privacy laws, the specific nature of the data stolen just didn't legally require them to issue notifications. Unsurprisingly, this decision to just stay silent has drawn some heavy criticism from tech and cybersecurity experts. They argue that, hey, moral responsibility should probably supersede minimal legal requirements when 55 million people are at risk.
Finally, Section 6. What this means for you. Exploring the global impact in your action steps.
The really crucial point here is that this scraping machine, it doesn't discriminate. As highlighted by international reporting on this breach, this impacts global internet citizens. Because Suno scraped millions of files from YouTube Music, niche and regional content, like wildly popular trending Nepali songs and specific cultural vocals, were likely swept up into the AI model entirely without the original artist's consent. This means the cultural heritage and intellectual property of artists worldwide, not just huge Western pop stars, have basically been commodified by this technology.
So if you've ever used Suno, you really need to treat your data as compromised. Here are the immediate steps you should take right now. Number 1, change your Suno password immediately. And hey, if you reuse that password on other sites, change those too. Number 2, activate two-factor authentication, or 2FA, on your account to add that essential extra layer of security. Seriously, do not wait on this.
Which brings us to the end of our explainer. But before we go, I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. We've seen 55 million user profiles taken and the very building blocks of an AI model stolen, revealing a machine built on the unconsented consumption of global human creativity. So I have to ask you, as AI rapidly consumes the entire internet to build its models, is any digital data, whether it's your personal email address or your creative life's work, truly safe anymore? Thank you so much for learning with me today, and keep asking the big questions.